remember, you're dragging decades of history with you.
It was enough of a challenge to force Calgary's police chief to retire. Now, Roger Chaffin is speaking about what seemed like a lack of action in dealing with growing harassment complaints, which drove some officers away, including the top HR officials, and sparked at least one lawsuit. Chaffin spent only 3 years at the helm of Calgary's police force and said he left with regrets.
I think, though, still it's a matter of saying, yeah, mechanisms are in place and some of the changes have occurred, but what behaviors are changing? And we have to divide ourselves from the past problems and start, sort of dealing with those, but also look at the progressive issues going forward.
Chaffin appearing at a luncheon for nonprofit organizations in a chat about harassment in the workplace, saying he received pushback from executives as he tried as early as 2013 to address these concerns.
We spent a fair amount of time talking about organizational ethos and culture, redefining the idea of mission, vision, values, so it's not words on a wall, that it's something that they're more intrinsic to their ability to lead properly, to understand the nature of the organization, what their roles are really going to be, and to push forward so they're not just following policy, that they're actually pushing forward with personal belief systems. And it's going to take some time. I mean, there's been lots of weird conversation about getting rid of a whole bunch of people. That's not available.
I think his point, though, is really important. Power is power. And we have to also look at the power structures. And when you are the leader of an organization, what role you're playing in power, and also in what role you're playing in organizational culture.
But on that point, Chaffin says adding more women will not make the problem go away, as the paramilitary style in dealing with these concerns has to be tossed out in order to make people feel more comfortable in coming forward.
Let's face it, the police service didn't create these problems about how people relate to each other. They didn't create in themselves gender inequity issues. They didn't create harassment issues. They just need the mechanisms to which, as an employee group, you can actually solve these problems, create a better environment, and move along.
Lots of times what people want to know is, yes, moving forward it's going to change, and hear the words, I'm sorry. And it isn't necessarily the perpetrator that has to say, I'm sorry. The organization has to acknowledge that something has gone on, and they're willing to change it.
In Calgary, Tom Ross, City News.